I'm glad to see Boku no Hero Academia finally back. As we all know, it was on break last week. Apparently, Horikoshi was researching things, and that's why Boku no Hero didn't come out last week. So, glad to have it back. So anyways, let's tackle one of the big things that I know for a fact people are going to complain about. I don't even need to check social media. I don't even need to check YouTube comments. I don't even need to check, anything. I just know. I know for a fact that's going to be something that people are going to complain about. Let's talk about it. Let's get the elephant out of the room first, before I get into anything else. Izuku managed to overcome Night Eye's predictions and twist the future. Now, just to get right into it, automatically, I will be honest here, it is a standard shonen cliche. It is. And at the end of the day, I admit that. I will definitely admit that. You know, a protagonist changing the future, going against prophecies and stuff, it's a common theme you see in shonen. And I'm not going to say that's a good or a bad thing. I'm not going to go into that. I'm just saying it is. It definitely is. I won't deny it. I will gladly say right now that's what it is. However, what it really comes down to is the execution. I've said this many times in so many other series I have talked about. It's not the cliche that is bad, it's how the cliche is done, how it is executed. In this case, I can see why some would complain about it. I can, because at the end of the day, Eri is still a very hacked character. She is completely busted. She is busted as a character. I mean, there's some things that are kind of balancing her out overall, but she's busted. She's legit busted, and she's actually a danger to the story. And so, there still needs to be something done with Eri. There has to be some clarification and something done with Eri, because she is a busted character in this series. But that's most likely for a later time, and if I had to assume anything, the research purposes that Horikoshi was looking up into most likely had to do something with Eri, or the future of what the League of Villains are trying to accomplish. Something like that. That's what I am assuming. Anyways, though, let me talk about it. So, right off the bat, the execution of, Izuku surviving fate, surviving, and he was supposed to die. It was common sense. Let me kind of explain the obvious here. Number one, we all know, at the end of the day, that everything that's going on right now in the series is narration, or it's a flashback, because the series, straight up, opens up with letting us know that Izuku apparently has become the greatest hero, or he's about to become the greatest hero. And so, we already know that Izuku, not just because it's a shonen, but because of the opening, the first chapter and all that, and the narration stuff, we know for a fact that all the stuff we are seeing is some form of journal entry that Izuku has wrote a long time ago. And so, we know for a fact he wasn't going to die here. Common sense. Permanent wounds and scars, that can still be a thing. I mean, we've seen Izuku have many marks and wounds all over his body and retains them to this day. So, we know that's a thing. However, in terms of just being gone and dead, not happening. Even though it's a shonen, that's not just a big point. We know he was going to live because of the first chapter. Anyways, though, let's talk about how it was done. Since there's so many mysteries about Eri's quirk, as I've said, we really don't know. Even right now, with the latest chapter that just came out, we don't really even know how Eri's quirk works. We have no idea. We legit have no idea. Apparently, from looking at this chapter, I reread this chapter multiple times. Multiple times. 4 times. And after looking at the chapter and getting a grasp on it, it appears that as long as Eri continues to use her power, it gets stronger. But it has an AoE effect, an area of effect. It's a large radius. Because you see, when Izuku is holding his backpack lolly on his back, and he's fighting and all that, he gets on the ground, and he's like, she's getting stronger, it's getting a lot stronger, and he buckles down and all that onto the ground. You see where Eri, she's thinking in her head, she's, imagining things like she's a cursed child, and this as soon as you see Overhaul on the ground, and many might assume she started acting like that because of Overhaul, but that was not necessarily the case. What happened there was she started to realize that if something wasn't done, Izuku was going to die. He was going to get erased completely. And so, that's why she was freaking out, why she was crying. She couldn't shut it off, because she doesn't know how to control her powers whatsoever. So, in that moment, basically, she was getting stronger and stronger. Izuku was buckling down, couldn't even move, and she was on the point of completely getting rid of him like that. And so, in that moment, you could see that she has a radius. She managed to detach Overhaul from his lackey. His lackey got completely separated in that moment, just completely detached. He hit the ground and all that, which shows that Eri doesn't need to touch you. She doesn't need to put a hand on you or even be right next to you to, reverse you, rewind you. She doesn't need that. She actually could just be in a certain distance, and then there you go. So she's broken. And dangerous. Very dangerous, because she doesn't know how to control herself. She doesn't know how to control her ability, shut it off, how to, slow it down, whatever. She doesn't know how to do that. She's like full throttle, hitting that, the full gas pedal, hitting it straight down, going all in, and that could be how her ability works. Maybe there is no break to it. Once she starts it, it doesn't stop until someone forcibly stops her, and so that could be what was going on. And with Eraserhead coming in, he stopped her, which thankfully that, stopped the matter of what was going on with Izuku, but she did have a radius. She had a radius to her quirk, which, like I said, is deadly. Very, 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 very deadly. That is scary deadly. Not just because it's broken, but because if she can rewind things around her people, yeah. Now, I'm going to assume that she's not rewinding objects. It doesn't seem like, or appears to me, that she can't rewind items or objects like ground or whatever. It doesn't seem like that. It seems like she can only rewind the living. That's what I'm assuming, because if she had an AoE effect, we would have probably saw the ground starting to fix itself or whatever, and that did not necessarily happen unless I missed something. So she's obviously not capable of fixing just objects and stuff. She's only capable of rewinding people or living beings. So anyways, let's also talk about, I guess, the twisting of the future. So let's talk about that cliche. Yes, it's a cliche. However, we need to factor something in. Besides not knowing how Ares' ability works, we got to imagine from the perspective of Night Eye and how his ability works, okay? Night Eye, he sees the future. Foresight. He has foresight. He can see into the future when he, once per day. He can do it once per day, and he can see years in the future, all the way probably up to their endpoint to where they die. And we've already seen, the analysis to this, ability that he has, and apparently he's tried to change things, even though there's some different events. It's like just adding extra filler scenes into a long, film clip, and that's basically it. It's still the same end result. It's just some different events setting up to it, but it's the same results, and he could never change the overall outcome of what was to happen, whoever's future he saw. He couldn't save someone. So, because of that, that lets us know that Night Eye, he had this limitation. And it made us all assume, like, okay, so how is Izuku supposed to live this? Because we know for a fact that Izuku is going to live this, but how is he going to do it thanks to the setup with Night Eye? Now, you could assume, if you want to take the easy path, you could assume the reason why it happened was because Night Eye's ability isn't accurate. Maybe he wasn't trying hard enough, which I doubt. He was probably going ham to say All Might. After seeing how much of a fan he is of All Might, there's no way he didn't go try hard to learn about his ability or try to fix someone or save someone. So this lets us know that Night Eye most likely, either the further he sees out into the future of someone, the less accurate it is, or maybe depends on the quirk. And in this case, Ares' quirk is Rewind. It's a time-based ability. So, since she's necessarily rewinding Izuku, she might have broke, like, the timeline that Night Eye was looking at. Like, okay, you have this big, long film strip, okay, going across, okay? You have this film strip, the events and all that, Izuku comes in, and he's supposed to fight Overhaul, and then he's supposed to go 100%, he breaks and shatters his body. This is not factoring in Eri, obviously. He goes in, breaks his body, fights Overhaul, Overhaul kills him. End result right there, he gets away. That is how the film clip is supposed to be done. And even if, let's say, Ochako came in, backed him up, and then, you have others come in and back him up, the clip would extend a little bit. It would get, like, a lot longer, but the end result would be that Overhaul would still kill them, and he would get away. That would be the result of the clip. That's basically what Night Eye had. However, Eri, she's able to take the clip and rewind it. And so, it's kind of like this. If you don't keep mashing a button, mashing it repeatedly, you're gonna break something. You're gonna break something. You're gonna break it. Now, I don't know necessarily if that's the correct, term to put to this, but most likely, Eri broke the timeline, or whatever, for what was going on, shattered it, because she was constantly rewinding Izuku over and over when he should have died. Like, Izuku died hundreds of times, probably, in this fight. Just moving around, him even moving his body, he shattered everything. We know for a fact he did. Well, we know. 100% one for all, going in like that, he broke his body into millions of little pieces. And he did this multiple times. repeatedly. Moving that fast, grabbing, Overhaul, slinging him down to the ground, all of these little things. He was shattering his body like it was paper mache. So, we know for a fact Izuku died. He would have died. If Eri wasn't there, dead. Straight dead. And he died. So, effectively, Night Eye wasn't wrong. Izuku did die. He did. But Eri has the ability to rewind things. So, she could have broke the timeline, and his ability, his quirk, doesn't work properly with Eri's. He cannot predict things with what Eri is able to manipulate. Possibility. Anyways, let me talk about the aftermath of this arc, now that I've got all that out of the way. So, I want to point out that Izuku, despite him being in immense pain, this man is buckling onto the ground. As the quirk is deactivated, he's starting to, realize he can't do 100% anymore, and he's hitting the ground. He actually guards Eri and doesn't allow her head to hit the pavement, which was a very sweet moment, just to show, once again, what type of person Izuku is. Despite everything, him being in immense pain, he's suffering and all that, and this big, long fight he just had to save this girl, he puts his arm down as he's falling down and stops her from hitting her head, which is just a truly emotional moment. It just shows once again what type of character he is and what he will do to save an individual. Madman Izuku. Now, also, we need to talk about another thing. We also get to see update statuses on basically all of our characters. All of our characters get updated. We get to find out what's going on with, Night Eye. We get to see what's going on with Rappa. We get to see Fat Gum in this. We get to see, Kirishima. We get to see, every single character get, an update status in this chapter, what was going on. And overall, I really like the opening to this chapter, with how the villain was like, if Kai actually lost, if Overhaul really did lose, then I shouldn't be sitting around here and guarding this man. I need to take the serum and the bullets and go. That was a really good moment. I feel like many are going to miss how good that moment was for the chapter, but that was a phenomenal moment, because how many times have you seen where a villain, even though they have 100% faith in someone, they believe that this person is going to win against the, the main protagonist, even though they have this 100% faith, they actually realize that there could be a potential possibility that the person they look up to could lose. And so, in turn, they take matters into their own hands to make sure everything is going to be fine. That is what I really liked about that scene. Just seeing how, okay, Kai could possibly lose, I need to grab the bullets, I need to grab the serum, I need to go. Instead of just sitting here and waiting until I get captured or whatever, I need to move. Yes, got captured at the end of the day, but even then, though, had that thought process of, I need to get out of here. Just truly appreciate that. I truly appreciate that from a writing point of view. That was a really good scene. So, let's talk about the League of Villains. So, the League of Villains, they arrive at the end of the chapter. Shigaraki's on top of, a van and all that. Dabi's like, I don't think it goes like that when, it's like, hey, aren't you supposed to only take the, the king piece and shogi? And I'm like, oh, it's epic. I like Shigaraki's appearance in the chapter, and how the man is showcasing that he is definitely matured as a villain. He's not like he always was in the past, being this, temper tantrum kid that was just yelling and screaming, or saying game over, or giving up. He has an objective. He's willing to get things done. He's acting like a stone cold villain, which I truly love seeing, and I really like that final scene of the chapter. Now, what does this necessarily mean? Well, the League of Villains are about to get a lot stronger. I mean, we know for a fact they were using the heroes. We've already seen glimpses that they were using the heroes in this arc, and in turn, even though Izuku's going to get a lot of praise, and many things are probably going to happen, the League of Villains are going to get a lot done, because they're probably, if I had to assume anything, okay? I want to assume that the League of Villains are probably going to either A, capture Overhaul, which I doubt. Most likely Shigaraki will kill Overhaul, capture the mob boss, and then maybe some of the others will join his crew, like Rappa might join Shigaraki. I could see something like that. I could definitely see, Rappa, joining, Shigaraki and helping him out, especially for that rematch with Kirishima in the future. I'm really looking forward to that, because Rappa is a really good character, and it would definitely be really bad and upsetting if he wasn't used again and just, thrown out the window, because his design is really cool, his character and all that just really nice, so it'd be a waste if he was just thrown out of the series after this arc. So I could assume that most likely he will join Shigaraki, and that's what Shigaraki's doing. He's recruiting people, taking the pieces into his stronghold, but also getting rid of the king, which is Overhaul. Now, we also know that the bullets and the serum are in that van where, you know, they're going to the hospital. So he's about to get his hands on the quirk erasing bullets and the serum. So if he wants to, he could possibly find out a way to replicate it, and it could be much worse. So it could not possibly be the end of quirk erasing bullets, if that's what Shigaraki wanted in the first place. And there is a likely possibility, since Toga and Twice are still around somewhere, because we saw, you know, Mr. Compress, you know, get a call, and he was talking, obviously, to them, that Eri could still be kidnapped. That is still a possibility. Now, I want to point out something, okay? Now, I wasn't one that noticed this. I just want to go out of my way, and state I wasn't the one to notice this. I don't want to take credit for it at all. I just want to point it out to let all of you know as well. There was a quick little scene in this chapter. When everything was done, everybody was, you know, getting showcased. We got to see, like, Ochako, Night Eye, and all that. We got to see, you know, Sun Eater. We got to see everybody and how, like, they're seeing what's going on with people, and then they're getting ready to go to the, you know, in the ambulance or to the hospital. We see Ochako on the right side on the top page, and then a little further in on the left of the panel, you see someone that looks very similar to Ochako, same outfit and everything, but the face is shadowed out. Now, the only reason why I could see Horikoshi doing something like this is that is implying that Toga is transformed into Ochako. So that would mean that Toga is disguising herself and either seeking to kidnap Eri or go to the hospital and do something heinous. One or the other. So I just wanted to point that out if you didn't realize, and obviously, I wasn't the one to spot this. I was just told. I'm just relaying it all to you for you know as well. But it's very interesting when you think about that. Toga could be sneaking around, probably kidnapping Eri, and this isn't the end to, you know, Eri's overall arc. I'm looking forward to it. So yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments below, how you felt about this chapter. How did you feel about this arc? I don't think it's officially done yet because, you know, the League of Villains have popped up. But tell me your thoughts overall, how you felt about Overhaul. I mean, we all gotta remember that, yes, it's sad to see Overhaul go down, but we also gotta remember that 100% One For All was had to be used to bring down someone like him. So, yeah. Just want to point that out. So it wasn't like, oh, Overhaul's weak and all that. No, by no means is Overhaul weak. The only reason why he lost is because Izuku was able to go full on 100% madman with no consequences. So if he wasn't able to do that, Overhaul would have won against anyone that was there. Just want to point that out. If you enjoyed my content, please subscribe. And if you like this video, please leave a like. And obviously, if you don't like it, leave a dislike. Don't fault you for it. Love you guys. Please be safe. Chibi out.